I don't know if you guys remember, but last year, this area right here on the back of the kitchen garden was completely different. I mean, it doesn't even come close to looking like it was. Living in a small urban home close to the city where the backyards are not that huge and literally the neighbors are right next to each other, it's always a challenge because you want to grow all the things, but you don't have all of the space. But in the last year, I have concentrated in this small little area to add as many things that will allow me to grow more of the things that I want to grow. Last year, I decided to utilize this space to its true potential. This is the part where the back of the house meets the alley, so it's really the driveway, I guess you could say, although we don't really use it as a driveway. So it is wasted space. So I decided to add a couple of raised beds, and my husband helped me build those. He installed them. We added some fresh soil, and it was great. Last year, I really wanted to paint these beds, but I didn't get the chance to. And this year, I decided to add a couple of corten steel beds to the back of this garlic bed. Now, I don't know if you remember, but this garlic bed, because it's growing garlic, so that's what I'm gonna call it, it was made using materials a few years ago that we had on hand. This wood is not supposed to be used for outside, but we use it anyways because we had it and I didn't want to spend the money on treated wood. And I knew that 2 to 3 years later, we're gonna have to replace it. But I am really loving how it looks like. Yes, it's bending a little bit already. It's showing the age of it, but I don't mind it. I can definitely still use it this year and maybe even next year. So I'm happy to say that this untreated wood that we use for this raised bed has given me plenty of years. Now, it's not something that I would recommend you do because you will have to replace it, obviously, because of the weather. But like I said, we had it on hand and that's what we use. So this year, I really wanted to add more growing space, and I didn't want to add more raised beds other than the corten steel ones. And I decided to add 3 of the Greenstalks. And in past videos, I show you how my husband set the bases for me. The base of where the Greenstalks are going to go needed to be level, so he helped me with that. And I knew that eventually I wanted to add the mulch around it because the weeds are crazy here. And in the last few days, here in central Indiana, we have been getting lots of rain. So I know that the weeds were really going to start popping through. So I didn't really use anything special. I didn't go and remove anything. All I did was place some weed fabric, the thickest that I could find. There are some fabrics that are supposed to be for, you know, covering the weeds, and they're really thin. If you only have access to those, make 2 or 3 layers of it if you really are not planning to plant anything and just want to try to control the weeds. So I found the best that I could find and I placed it here, and I reused these bricks. The bricks were reused from an old chimney that we took a couple of years ago, and they had been kind of just hanging out in the back next to the garage. So I hate to get rid of bricks because I know that eventually I will use them for something. And in this case, aging where the mulch is going to go is a perfect way to keep the mulch in place, because if I was just going to place the mulch with the slope that we have back here, it would have just been gone in a few days, especially with the amount of rain that we had. I have a lot of things growing already back here in this area. I planted a bunch of these brassicas: kale, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli. I direct sowed some beets, sugar snap peas, radishes, and I have a bunch of sunflowers that are coming that are volunteers on that end of the bed. Last year, I had a bunch of sunflowers growing there, so it just makes sense that I'm gonna have a bunch of volunteers. And I wanted to show you this thing, this hoop set that I found on Amazon, because I showed you a couple of videos ago how I made my own using PVC pipes. And well, that was great. Honestly, these things here, they took me 5 minutes to set up. I do have already some clamps in here inside the beds where I was using for the PVC pipes, but these guys are unbelievable heavy duty, and they were really cheap too. So I'm going to add links below in the description of this video, and what these are going to do is that they're going to help me with mesh fabric to keep the insects away from my brassicas. I don't have any signs of any of them being eaten yet. hopefully I'll get to harvest some broccoli or some Brussels sprouts. I have never grown brassicas in the spring, so we'll see how they do. I also have this beautiful, beautiful Greenstalk vertical garden that I have full of strawberries. I have a total of 30 strawberry plants here, you guys, and they're doing amazing. I have zero experience with growing berries of any kind, but this year I am going strong with strawberries and raspberries, which I just got the bed roots for raspberries, so I'm gonna have to show you how I am going to do that, and I'm very excited. And so far the plants look amazing, in my opinion. I have a bunch of these pansies right here, and I have a combination of some brassicas and some other things on this green sack back here. I have cilantro. I did get this cilantro as seedlings from my local nursery, but I also have cilantro that I started from seed, and it's doing really great. I also direct sowed some lettuce and some radishes, and I did transplant some of the lettuces that I started indoors that were kind of doing really bad because I forgot them when I was hardening them off. I forgot them overnight outside, and they really did not like that right away. They're doing amazing. They're doing really great. I also have some Brussels sprouts. I have broccoli, kale. And because these two green stacks are located on the north side of my garden, I come here once in a while every 2 to 3 days, and I just gently turn this so that every single plant gets plenty of sun. I am here every day anyway, so it's really not a problem just turning this slightly. On these corten steel beds that I have here, I have sugar snap peas that I transplant them from indoors. I like to start my sugar snap peas a couple of weeks ahead inside because they just take forever outside to germinate. I have some that I direct sowed on my brassica bed, and they're barely an inch up. So I transplanted these guys a couple of weeks ago here, and they're loving it. They're doing really well. The idea is that they're going to grow up this trellis. I mean, I will have to help them when they're big enough, tall enough, but that's the idea anyway. And if we move back here, I have a bunch of this garlic, and it's doing amazing, you guys. This is really the first year that I grow garlic. I planted it last year in this bed, and it's doing great. I'm really excited to see how big I can get it to be. My husband used to grow garlic in another place for selling to restaurants years ago. So he's pretty knowledgeable about growing garlic. And if I have a question, I always talk to him. I did add some fertilizer and compost to this bed in the fall when I put the garlic cloves here. And I didn't do anything else until last week when I came and I got some garden tone fertilizer, the slow release kind, and I just added a little bit to each row. It has been raining a lot, like I said, so it's the perfect time for me to fertilize these guys. And honestly, they do not look like they need fertilizer. One of the things that I am doing right now is that I am hardening off some of the plants that can handle the cold. I'm gently and slowly transition them outside, a couple of hours here and there, letting them experience that sunshine, that wind, and especially the rain. It helps a lot with taking these guys outside. And look at my foxgloves. I do have another half of a tray indoors that I gotta get out. But these foxgloves are, look at that. They're doing really well, in my opinion. So that's it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed the little update of how my garden, or a little area in my garden, is looking like. Thank you for being here, and until the next time.